go and the cats are ready to go too. All right,
That's gonna be
we're recording. Thank you for joining us for Tuesday morning yoga. I don't really know what day it is, but hey, it's Tuesday morning, so we're going to do some yoga. So you can go ahead and get on your mat, take a comfortable seat, and then get yourself down onto your back. So lying down on your mat, your choice, whether you would prefer to lay fully stretched out, or perhaps you'd enjoy to plant your feet on the mat a little bit wider than hip distance apart, and then allow your knees to relax in towards each other, supporting each other. Oh man, my cats are bad today. This is going to be interesting. My cats are being really bad. But we're all just going to take a big breath. So as soon as you come down on your mat, take the biggest inhale you can. Fill all the way up to the top of your lungs. Hold it for a moment and then sigh it out. With your exhales, try and let go of busyness. Try and let go of distraction. Try and let go of effort. You've come to your mat, and right now, your only job is to breathe. So another big inhale. Hold it for a moment at the top. Exhale. Feel your body soften and relax in response to your exhales. One more time. Big inhale. Hold it for a moment at the top. Exhale. Let your muscles relax. Feel gravity pulling you down into your mat. And if you haven't already closed your eyes, you can soften your gaze or close your eyes and focus your attention inward. Starting first with your body. Just notice how you're sitting with physical sensation this morning. Your body might be feeling different than it has any other morning because every day we're kind of new. So check in, maybe start with the toes, give them a little wiggle. And the feet, you could point and flex a few times, noticing how they feel. Remember, we're not judging how our body's feeling, we're just noticing. And into the ankles, maybe circle the ankles a little bit, going one way and then the other. And then maybe pick up the other foot and do the same, circle the ankles. And then the other way. And you can rest your feet back down on the mat or stretched out. Maybe just flex your quad muscles, pull your toes up a little bit, flex the feet, and release. And up over the thighs, same with the thighs. Give them a little flex, engage the thighs, and then release. Your hips, you could gently rock your hips, or if your feet are planted, you could even slightly pick your hips up off the mat and settle them back down, making room for your lower back. Your spine is nice and long. Noticing the belly, just the gentle rise and fall as you breathe. No tension there, just let it be soft. And moving your attention to your shoulders. You can make sure that your shoulders are down away from your ears. Your arms could be resting at your side, and they're just nice and heavy and relaxed. If you like, you could take some circles in your wrists. And then reverse the motion. Make some fists with your hands, squeeze tight and release. And again, squeeze tight and release. Wiggle the fingers. Imagine there's a little excess energy coming out through the fingers. And then you can come back to your throat. So you could swallow or clear your throat and your jaw. You could open and close your mouth a few times. And just make sure that the biting surfaces of your teeth stay separated. And your gaze is very relaxed. If your eyes are open, your face is completely passive, no expression needed right now. And you can feel your head heavy against your mat. No effort to hold your head up. And just allowing yourself to yield to the ground and let yourself almost melt into it. No effort and no resistance. You're just being and just breathing. And then you can start to turn your attention to your practice breath. So we'll deepen our breath with a nice inhale through the nose. Hold for a moment at the top. Exhale through the nose. Inhale. Hold for a moment. Exhale. You can start to generate your practice breath. Your pace might be slightly faster or slower than what I've set. Find the rhythm that is sustainable for you and consciously breathe in that cycle for a few more rounds of breath. And then you can begin to invite in some gentle movement to go with your breath. So maybe wiggling fingers and toes. Perhaps you get long on your mat and take a big long stretch. And gently just curve your body over to the right slightly. Getting long through the left side and then stretch back through center and then curve slightly over to the left. Just getting long through the sides of the body and then stretch long again. And then we'll go the other way. So hug your knees up toward your torso. Bring your knees up, bring your head rather up toward your knees. Squeeze yourself into a little acorn. Make yourself as tiny as you can. Hold for a breath. And then release. Your head can come down to the mat. You can gently roll over onto your side and bring yourself up to a comfortable seated position on your mat. So your choice, whether you would like to sit with your legs crossed or you would prefer to sit with legs outstretched. So once you come onto your seat, just make sure that your sits bones are firmly connected with the ground. Make the spine long. Imagine there is that invisible thread on the top of your head, pulling you straight up, nice and tall. And then you can duck your chin down to your chest. Inhale, bring it through center, and look up, just noticing the range of motion there. Exhale, bring it through center and down. And then inhale, bring it through center and back up. coming through center and down. And then you can start to take circles with the head and neck. Very slowly and gently. Necks are so delicate. Just really want to pause anywhere where you feel like you might need some extra attention. And then you can reverse motion and go the other way. And then you can bring your head back up to center. We'll take the left hand down to the ground, so I'll mirror you. Walk your hand out to the side. Stretch the right arm up and over, getting long to the right side of your rib cage, really opening it up and breathing directly into that space. With each breath, your rib cage is expanding. And on your exhale, you feel it contracting. And you can come up through center, take the right hand down out to the side, stretching up and over, getting nice and long again. Left side of the rib cage really opening up here. And come up through center. We'll bring our arms out into a T. You can bring your left arm underneath your right. Continue wrapping for eagle arms or bring the hands onto the shoulders. Either one is perfectly fine. Push the elbows up, duck the head forward and down. Really round into your upper spine. And open your arms. This time we'll bring the right arm, or sorry, yes, the right arm under the left. Again, eagle arms or hands come to shoulders. Push the elbows up, duck the head forward and down. And again, push back between the shoulder blades. If you had wings, this is exactly where your wings would be. Breathe into that space. And you can open the arms. Take some big circles with your arms, just getting into the shoulders a little bit. Nice and slow. And then you can reverse. Maybe you hear a little snap, crackle, pop in there. That's perfectly fine. Shoulders do that. Bring your right hand to your left knee, left hand behind, or if your legs are outstretched, plant your left foot. Hand goes behind. Inhale to sit tall. Exhale, twist. Allow your head and neck to be relaxed. And see if you can allow yourself to put in less effort here. Just let the twist happen. With each exhale, just soften into it a little bit more. And you can release, come through center. If you're cross-legged or if you have your foot planted, left hand comes to right knee, right hand behind. Inhale to get tall. Exhale, twisting in the opposite direction. Again, remind yourself not to lead with the head and neck, because I know I do. Let the twist happen from the base of your spine. And then if you don't already have your legs extended in front of you, bring them in front of you now. Actively peel your toes back towards you and sit up nice and tall. This is called staff pose, and it's a pose all on its own. And then you could gradually walk your hands down on either side of your legs, just until you begin to feel your hamstrings engage. So we're not moving into a ton of sensation here. We're just noticing when things start to say, oh, hello, hello, big stretch there. So actively keep those toes peeling back toward you. And then you can walk your hands back. Come back onto your tailbone. Hands can be out to either side. Lift the shins up, coming into boat pose. If you want to try your balance, you could lift your arms up in front. Really energetic fingers here. Engage your core. Feel your heart lifting up and out. That'll help keep you up in your boat pose. Nice deep breathing. One more deep breath. And feet can come down to the mat. We'll bring our legs around the side, coming on to hands and knees. Hands are directly below your shoulders unless you have touchy wrists. If that's the case, set your hands a little bit further forward. Knees are directly below your hips, and we'll start with our cats and cows. So you can release your belly down, the hips come up, the head comes forward and maybe looks up. More important that the head comes forward than up. And then exhale, reverse the motion. Push up between the shoulder blades, head and hips drop. Inhale, moving forward into cow. Head and hips come up. Exhale, reverse the motion, pushing up between your shoulder blades, getting really round in the spine. Moving nice and slowly back through to cow. Exhale, coming into cat. You take 3 more rounds of cat and cow at your own pace. Moving really nice and slowly. If you wanted, perhaps you want to add in some lateral movement. Maybe looking over one shoulder and the other. Maybe you want to get a little funky with it this morning. Do a little bit of twisting or wiggling. Totally up to you. And when you've finished your 3rd round of cat and cow, we'll all meet back up in a neutral tabletop position. Once you're in your tabletop, you can turn your toes under, and then I want you to just ever so gently lift your knees so they hover an inch off the mat. Just really engaging the core for a moment. Stay for a breath. And then exhale, you can release the knees down, uncurl the toes. From here, walk your hands out in front of you and open your heart toward the floor. Maybe it comes down a little, maybe you have quite a bit of room there. Coming into puppy dog pose. And then you can bring your hands back in close. We'll do a twist here. So we're going to inhale the right arm up, reaching up toward the sky. Exhale, bring that right arm down and underneath your left, reaching over to the left. Inhale, sweep it up. Exhale, down and through for thread the needle. Inhale one more time, up. Exhale, sweeping down and through, reaching over to the left, holding for a breath, and then coming back up onto all fours. This time we'll lift the left arm, sweep it up to the ceiling. Exhale, reach it down and under. Inhale, sweep it up. Exhale, down and through. One more time. Inhale, make it a nice, slow, big arc. And then exhale, reaching down and through. And you can come back onto all fours. If you would like the modification for downward facing dog, you can set your hands about a foot forward of where they would be in table. Turn your toes under, open your chest toward the ground. If you would prefer to come into the standing version of downward facing dog, turn those toes under, hike the hips up and back. No matter which version you're in, take a few deep breaths here. If you're in standing, huddle those legs out. Give the hamstrings a little wake up call. Settle in for one more breath. And then no matter where you are, make your way onto your feet in a way that works for you. And gently come up to stand at the top of your mat. So standing nice and tall, your core is engaged, hands can relax at your side, shoulders are relaxed. You're standing tall for mountain. You're very strong. People do not knock mountains over. Inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, swan dive forward, gentle bend in the knees, coming all the way down. Fingertips can come down to the mat, and then you can cradle the arms, one and the other, coming into ragdoll. So there's a little breeze, and you're a very floppy doll, and you're just going to sway a little bit. Again, using some gentle movement to encourage some awakening in the hamstrings. And you can release your arms. Bring your hands onto your shins. Inhale, come halfway up. Exhale, forward fold. Again, inhale, come halfway up. Exhale, forward fold. One more time. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, forward fold. And then we'll sweep the arms all the way up, rolling up to stand. Nice and tall. Hands can come to heart center. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, I want you to part your hands and sit down as if there's an imaginary chair behind you. So getting your hips low. If holding your arms up is a little hard on your shoulders, bring your hands onto your shoulders. Breathe big here. See if you can sit your hips down nice and low. Try and get those thighs parallel to the floor. Big breath. One last breath. Exhale, forward fold. Sigh it out. That's a big amount of work right there. So just sigh it out a little. You could even sway a little and ragdoll again. And then slowly coming back up through center, arms sweep overhead, hands come back to heart center. Inhale, arms come overhead. Exhale, forward fold all the way down. Gentle bend in the knees. Hands can both come down to the mat. Step both of your feet to the back of the mat, and then you can lower onto your knees. Untuck the toes. Coming into a modified plank position. Make sure there's a nice long line from your shoulders back to your knees. Take an inhale to prepare. Exhale, squeeze your elbows in toward your torso. Slowly lower down. Nice, nice, nice and slow. Forehead can come down to the mat. Hands stay under the shoulders. Inhale the head, neck, and chest up. Exhale, head comes down. Inhale again, coming up for cobra. Exhale, coming down one more time. Inhale, bring the head up for cobra. This time, maybe you levitate your hands up, lifting right from the lower back. And exhale, bring the forehead down. You can turn your toes under, push back up on hands and knees, and then your choice. Either a modified downward facing dog on the knees or push those hips up and back, coming onto the feet. Whichever version you're in, big breaths here. One more breath. And then make your way onto your feet at the top of the mat in a way that makes sense for you. And roll all the way up to stand. Arms sweep overhead. Hands come to heart center. We'll bring our hands to our hips. And then I'd like you to pick up your right foot, step it all the way to the back of the mat. Work it out if you need to. So help shuffle it down. So the back edge of your right foot is parallel with the back edge of your mat. Your left foot is pointing directly forward, and the heel of your left foot is directly in alignment with your right arch. Make sure that that right ankle is well out ahead of the knee so that you have room to go forward in your lunge. Left arm comes forward, right arm comes back. Sink into your lunge. Strong torso here, so you're really upright. Try not to lean over. Pushing the left knee out to the side with the power of your left big toe. Then we can add in the arms. So inhale, exhale, draw the right arm back. Inhale it forward. Exhale it back. You're welcome to follow with your eyes, but not necessary. Inhale forward. Exhale, draw back one more time. Inhale forward. Exhale, draw back. Head can come back forward. We're going to turn the left palm up, scoop the air up and back, coming into revolved warrior. Get really tall. Stay for a breath. And then come back to warrior two. We will bring both arms in front. Big bend in the knee. Bring both hands down to the mat. Turn onto your right toes so you're in a lunge position, and then fold the left side of your mat over if you like to give yourself padding, bringing the right knee down onto the mat, untucking the toes. Make sure that your feet are now on two separate tracks, or your foot and your knee are on two separate tracks so that you have stability. You can bring your hands onto your left thigh and bring yourself upright again. Make sure that your left ankle is well ahead of the knee so that you have room to lunge forward and down. So inhale, thinking about getting tall. Exhale, you can sink the hips forward and down. If you are happy with this, just right here, you stay here. If you'd like to try coming down, you could bring both arms to the inside of your right foot, maybe even placing a block there. So coming down onto a block or bringing the hands directly to the floor. You have all three options. As you exhale, try and let time and gravity help you with the work, opening the hips here. One last breath. And you can back your hips out. Bring the left foot back by the right. If you have a block, just set it off to the side for now. Bring your knees as wide as your mat. Toes come together behind you. Your hips are on your heels. Walk your torso forward, and you can bring your forehead down to the mat, coming into child's pose. Just taking a couple of big breaths here. Good. And then coming back up onto knees, your choice. Modified downward facing dog, the toes tucked under, or pushing up and back, coming onto feet. Again, couple of big breaths. And when you're ready, make your way onto your feet at the top of your mat and roll up to stand. So we'll take it on the other side. You can bring your hands to your hips, bring your left foot up, and then step it all the way to the back of the mat. Shuffle it back if you need to. The back edge of your left foot is aligned with the back of your mat. Your right toes are directly forward, and that right heel is in line with your left arch. Sneak the right ankle forward if you need to. Make sure you have room to lunge. Right arm comes directly forward, left arm directly back, and lunge into warrior two. Very strong here. Big breath. We'll add in the arms. So inhale, left arm forward. Exhale, draw it back. Your choice of whether or not to follow with your eyes. Inhale forward. Exhale, draw back. Inhale it forward. Exhale, draw it back one more time. Inhale it forward. Exhale back. Bring the left hand down to the thigh. With your right hand, scoop the air up and back, coming into revolved warrior. And then we'll come back to warrior two. Bring your right arm overhead and rotate. Bring both hands down to the mat. Come onto the left toes, and then you can fold the left side of your mat over so that you can bring your knee onto some padding if that's what you like. And then untuck the toes. Your hands can come onto your right thigh and bring yourself upright. Just make sure that your right foot and your left knee are on two separate tracks for stability. Again, you could stay exactly like this once you come into your lunge. Sorry, I miscued that. So start coming down into your lunge. And if that's plenty, then you stay right there. If you wanted, you could bring the block to the inside of your right foot and come on down onto that, or you could even come down onto your hands. Find an expression that works for you, or you can just sit with sensation. Nice deep breath here, allowing time and gravity to help us with this work. And you can back your hips out. Draw your right foot back by your left. This time, we'll bring the knees together and come into a slight variation on child's pose. So knees are together, hips are back on heels. Again, walk your body forward. Your forehead can come down. If you like, you could rest your elbows on the mat just above your ears. Bring your hands into prayer and then bring those hands to the back of your head. You might find this gives you a nice little stretch through the back of your upper arm. And you can bring your hands back in front of you again. Press into those fingers, coming up either onto knees and setting the hands a little more forward, opening the heart and tucking the toes for modified downward facing dog, or hips up and back, staying for a breath, and then making your way to the top of the mat in a way that makes sense for you. So coming onto feet and slowly rolling all the way up to stand. We're going to come into the balancing section of our practice now. So if you know that you would prefer to be near the wall or near a piece of furniture, you can go ahead and move there now. So we'll set up with feet narrow hip distance apart, abdomen's engaged, standing tall, shoulders are relaxed. You can bring your hands onto your hips. Before you go anywhere, try and set your gaze on a point a few meters ahead of you that is completely still. Just let your eyes zone out on that spot. You can begin to transfer your weight over your left foot. Come onto the right toes. Inhale the right leg up. Exhale it out to the side. Plant the free foot against the standing leg, nice and strong. You could take the foot down to the ankle or even keep toes down, totally up to you. Hands can gently come up to heart center. Engage the core. So we're squeezing the bum, we're engaging the core, kind of like a tree. We're taking our life force from the roots and we're moving it up and in. So I guess it's very apt that this is called tree. And then you could grow your tree and see what's going on today, what kind of a tree you've got going on. If you sway or shake or fall out, don't sweat it, just get back in. And you can slowly bring the hands back down if you grew the tree. On an inhale, bring your free leg up, straighten that leg out, and slowly with control, lower the free leg to the floor. Beautiful. And you can shake out the standing leg, get the circulation going. Again, standing up nice and tall. Finding that spot a few meters ahead of you where you can just rest your gaze on something that isn't going to move. Begin to transfer your weight over the right foot. Inhale the left leg up. Exhale the knee to the side. Plant the free foot against the standing leg. Again, engaging the core, squeezing the bum, everything coming up and in. Hands can come to heart center. And then you can begin to grow your tree on this side. It might be totally different than the other side, and that's perfectly fine because we're not very symmetrical. So why would our tree be exactly the same on both sides? And you can gently bring your hands back to heart center and bring them down to your hips. Inhale the free leg up, straighten that leg, lower it slowly and with control. Beautiful, good work. Shake out the standing leg and you can bring your feet out wider than hip distance to come into squat. So if you know that you would prefer to do your squat on the floor or even on a prop like a block, you can bring yourself down ahead of time and set up with your knees wider than the hips, feet are on the floor, and Toes are pointed out to a 45-degree angle. So you can make your way there now. If you're coming from standing, hands to heart center. Inhale to get tall. Exhale to slowly, slowly, slowly bring your hips down. Try not to let your body come forward. Try and stay upright over your hips. And once you come all the way down, or if you're already seated, you can bring the backs of your arms to the insides of your knees, encouraging an opening there. If you came from standing, maybe you just want to wiggle around just a little bit first. And then bring hands to heart center and breathe. Allow yourself to just stay in stillness, noticing the sensation, but not reacting. Focusing inward on the breath. You can draw it out long and deepen it, and really slow your breath down here. Two more breaths, nice and slow. Wonderful. If you're already down, you can stay down. If you're not, bring your hands behind you. Gently bring yourself down. You could have your hands out to either side, or if you'd like to try your balance a little bit, you could have your arms holding each other and then rock your knees side to side. Even you're rolling up onto your hip a little bit here. So giving yourself a little bit of a massage through the outside of the hips, which is always nice. And just rolling back and forth a few times, releasing that big hip stretch. So you can bring your knees together. Arms can come down under your thigh. Bring your body forward toward your legs. Relax your head forward. Yes, relax your head forward. Just coming into a really passive, really restorative forward fold here. And if your arms were underneath, you could bring them out to the sides. Gently extend the legs forward. Peel the toes back. And you could stay exactly as you are, or maybe you can find yourself coming a little bit further into this. Again, this is just a gentle forward fold. So we're not aggressively seeking to bring our forehead down to our knees. We're just letting what happens happen. And you can bring yourself back upright. Plant your feet. Allow the knees to come out to either side and sitting up nice and tall. So we're going to leave the ankles a fair ways from the body, getting tall, and then bring yourself forward, hinging right at the hips. So rather than collapsing yourself forward, try and keep your back straight and coming into butterfly, noticing maybe some sensation through the outside of the hip flexors. If you find that you come to a place where you almost feel a little bit stuck, you could gently move your knees up and down a few times like butterfly wings. And just see if that helps you find the proper expression of the pose for your body. Again, nice and gentle here. And you can bring yourself back upright, bring the knees up. And if you're not already lengthwise on your mat, bring yourself lengthwise. Hands can come onto knees. Pull yourself nice and tall, and then release your knees and try and control your descent down onto your back. So make it nice and slow until you can't hold it anymore, and then come all the way down onto your back. Your feet are going to be planted right below your hips. Hands are palms down by your hips, preparing for bridge. So inhale to prepare. Exhale, push your hips up toward the sky, really getting grounded in the back of the arms and the feet. The harder you push down, the higher your hips can go. Nice big breaths here. One more breath. See if you can get those hips up just a touch higher. And then exhale. You can release the hips down to the mat. Gently windshield wiper the knees back and forth. And we'll set up for a second round of bridge. If you know that you would prefer to do a restorative bridge, you could grab a block and bring it right by your hip. So hands down beside your hips, feet are planted. Inhale to prepare. Exhale, hips go up to the sky. Nice big breaths here, really actively pushing down in the feet, hands, and the backs of the arms. If you'd like to come into restorative bridge, you can move the block under your sacrum. So just resting your lower back on the block. If you prefer to keep doing active bridge, keep your hips up for 2 more breaths. For those active bridgers, you can bring your hips down to the mat, a windshield wiper. For those in supported bridge, you can just stay exactly as you are. And if you're taking a third bridge, set up and inhale to prepare. Exhale, push your hips up toward the sky, really strong. Could even bring your shoulders underneath and clasp your hands behind your back. See if that helps you get a little lift. Just an option, not a necessity. No matter which kind of bridge you're in right now, take a big inhale. Push your hips as high as they can go. If you have a block under you, you can remove that block. Slowly bring the hips down and windshield wiper the knees, releasing that huge amount of core work. And knees can come back upright. You'll cross the right leg over the left with no gap between the thighs. Arms can come out into a T. Ever so slightly, set your hips off to the right, and then both knees can lower over to the left. If you'd like a little support for this, grab that block you were just using and put it by your left hip so that when your legs come down, they're actually supported by that bolster, by that brick. Once you're down, make sure that that right shoulder stays firmly in contact with the mat. If it's rolling up, maybe come out of your twist a little bit. And you have the option, if you'd like to explore going a little deeper, you could try looking over your right shoulder. And if your head was off to the side, bring it back up to center. Gently lift the legs back upright, uncross them. If you're using a block for support, bring that over by your right hip now. Again, arms in a T, crossing the left leg over the right. Pick the hips up and ever so slightly set them off to the left, and then relax both knees over to the right, allowing the full weight of your legs to come onto that block if you are using it. Again, making sure that left shoulder stays really firmly connected to your mat. And if you like, you could explore looking over the left shoulder this time. Again, totally optional. Take it or leave it. If your head is anywhere but center, slowly bring it back up to center. Gently bring the knees back upright. You can set your block off to the side, uncross the legs, straighten the hips, and then you can hug your knees in toward your torso, encouraging the right knee toward the right armpit and the left knee toward the left armpit. Staying here for a few breaths. If you like, you could stay exactly here and roll on the lower spine, or you could reach through on the insides of your knees. Take a hold of either the insides of your feet or the outsides. So insides we call stirrup, outsides is happy baby. They both work perfectly well. Draw your feet up toward the ceiling, and from there you can give yourself a nice little back massage. If there are any other movements you'd like to take for your practice, I'll invite you to go ahead and take those now. So maybe you just want to take a really big stretch. Maybe you'd like to try extending the legs. Maybe there's something else you're craving, or even just grabbing a drink of water, grabbing a sweater, getting yourself prepared for your final rest. So your choice. You might want to take your Shavasana really stretched out, legs stretched out, taking up lots of space on your mat. Or if you would prefer, you could plant your feet wider than hip width and allow the knees to relax in towards each other, coming into a more restorative version. If you're feeling nice and warm and you'd like to conserve some of that warmth and energy, you could bring your right hand onto your belly, your left hand over your heart. If, on the other hand, you'd like to just release, your arms could be out to either side. Once you bring yourself down onto your back, ever so slightly, just lift the hips and settle them back down so you have room for your lower back. And then take a few of those really big resetting breaths, just like we did at the beginning of class. So huge inhale, holding for a moment at the top, and then exhale. You can sigh it out. You can be really loud about sighing it out. There's no one's there to hear. Even if they were, what does it matter? Big inhale, hold for a moment at the top. exhale, let effort go, let any intention go. You've finished your practice. There's nothing left for you to accomplish or try to accomplish. One more big breath. Exhale, letting everything go, allowing your body to become completely soft and passive, letting yourself sink down into the mat, allowing your mind to just be present in this moment, noticing again how your body feels. Maybe it feels a little different than it did at the beginning of practice. Maybe there's some areas that are feeling nice and warm, stretched out. Enjoying that feeling. Allow yourself to come into complete rest so that you can absorb the full benefits of your practice. And if you find that your mind tends to wander to other things, because that's kind of what minds do, gently bring your attention back by focusing in on your breath. You can start bringing your awareness back into your body. Again, take a few nice deep breaths. Notice how your body is feeling nice and relaxed, loose, and fluid. You could take some gentle movement. Ooh. You can take some gentle movement. Sorry, I had a cat there. You could wiggle fingers and toes. Maybe take a nice big stretch, like you're waking up all over again. And then you can gently roll over onto your side, your right side, pausing there for a few breaths. And eventually bringing yourself up to sit comfortably. Again, thinking about getting nice and tall. Hands can come to heart center. And you can lower your chin to your chest. Ring the bells that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There's a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. And that's Leonard Cohen. Namaste.